Hey guys, what's going on? My name's Corey Vanderplu at Corey Photo on Twitter and Instagram. Today, I'm going to show you how to make some moving portraits. So these moving portraits are for this set of images I have here. I'm going to be doing kind of a crazy layout for social media. I already have kind of a rough layout here. As you can see, we're going to begin the story here like this, mixing in some Polaroids and some other videos. And then I'm also going to be moving in some moving portraits, something that moves. So what I'm going to do is walk you through how I get these moving portraits set up, how I use Premiere as a flow, and really just dealing with moving portraits. I'm going to give you some inside tips. This is obviously a rough sketch, but it's enough so you can see how I want to, drop in the moving portrait. So let's just get right to it. Head over to Premiere. Call this Flower Story. So first we got to set up the project file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import my moving portraits. They're over here under Video, Raw, and this is all of them. And now what we're going to do is set up my sequence. So what I'm going to do is just push Apple N. Because I said this is for social media, we're going to do a kind of low res. I'm just going to set up a classic 1080p. Again, for low res, so I don't need anything. I'm working with 4K footage, and you'll see why I do this in a second. So 1920 by 1080 is good because I have wide moving portraits. But then I'm going to duplicate this and make it a 4:5 version. So the first thing I'm going to do is, because I want it to be 4:5, I'm going to change the crop, and I know that it's going to be 1080 by 1350. That gives me that 4:5 crop. You can see here it changed, so push OK. And now that I have these two, you can see one's wide, one's portrait. Now we can go through our RAWs and just sort them out. So actually the first thing I want to do is create proxies. Because these are big files, 4K files, and I want it to be very smooth, I'm just going to create a proxy. Make a new one. I'm going to call this proxy. Select folder. Okay. Now it's create. We'll just let that run. And once we're back, now you can see we'll go over here. Keep the existing settings. You can see it's a lot more pixelated. I'm not too concerned about that. If I turn the proxy on and off, you can see the quality difference there. But I mean, the way it plays back is pretty good, but you can see it's choppy. As soon as I switch this over, look how smoothly that plays. And that's, I mean, it's just gonna save you headaches and nightmares from when you're working, because moving portraits is all about those fine, finicky details. And if you're like me, have a great computer, but just can't push those 4K files through, this is the way to do it. All right, so I'm just gonna move ahead by finding which ones are, keep existing settings, which ones are my portrait modes and which ones are landscapes. So bear with me, I'm just gonna toss them in the timeline one at a time, and then we'll get into moving into the next steps after this. So now that these are all dropped in, what I like to do is go and make sure that these fit right in the 4:5 settings. So I'm just gonna go and rotate this to 90 degrees. See, it's at 100. I can bring this right down, right to the edges. And I can really just copy this with the Apple C. And then this is Option Command V. Copy the motion over, and now you can see everything is properly set into the frame. I don't need any of the audio, so I'm going to delete all of this, and now we're going to go one by one to compose each one correctly and see which part of the moving portrait we want. So I just scrubbed through it quickly. I like that little movement at the end. But again, some of this is cut off. Also don't like this here, so I'm going to make this a little bigger. I want this to be centered. It's coming right down. Really starts really cool right there. So let's just let it play. There's a little bit of eye movement right at the very beginning. So we'll start it right there. It's great. And she had a great end right here. So there you go, that one's done. Let's go through the rest of them. So before I go, I just want to see where I'm going from. This can actually come way out. I like that little sun flare. So let's try and go somewhere from here. Right there. Looking for any abnormalities or anywhere that you can see a camera movement, making sure that everything's nice and fluid. So even here kind of sinks off. So I like to just scrub through really quick. I like to intro this the best just because of the light. You can see it kind of rim it off. So let's see where it's a nice place to end. Even right there is great. So let's end it right here. Although I can make it zoom in. So just to be safe, I'm just going to go right to here. That's good for me. Next, I want this to be nice and relaxed, so try and get her right down the lens. I liked looking over here. Starting off camera is really nice. And then lock eyes with the camera. That's beautiful. Let's see how long she holds it for. Wow, that's great. I'm gonna stop it right before that shoulder comes up. You can also compose this a little better. She's a little off center. So I'm just gonna go up to 60%. I think that might even been too much. Wow. And just bring it to the side here. Really cool. Yeah, it might have been too much. Really do want to stay as wide as possible. Just a little to the left. Alright, next. This one's very close up. So again, while I'm making these, I'm trying to make sure that it all fits nicely somewhere in here. So that's kind of what we're looking for. And this looks like it would go really well in that layout. So I'm just looking for the most stillness. Even right here is a great starting point. I like that little thing coming off the edge. It's really cool. It's a little too distracting for me there. I like when she looks off. Right there. But this might have another good chunk, so I'm going to see if there's an alternate take in it. Yes, I love this. Really cool. It's nice and centered. Play it through. Looks great. This is just like editing photographs. It's just finding the best moments. It's almost like a little bit of curation. What do we got next? So scrub through to see where the best part is. It looks like it's just this simple breathing. Nothing fancy. Those are I think some of the most striking ones. I love how the flowers surround her head like this. It's really great. I like just before she moves her hand. Alright, next one. This one's cool. Let's see if we can compose this a little better. I like that everything's kind of in it. Framed it a little bit nicer. Let's find the nice points. I like this, just simple hand movement. You can start from here, right from there. Let's see how it goes. Super cool. See, I like it right before she looks away, or do you like that look away? No, she comes right back. So hold it right before that blink. There you go. Alright, last one. Again, it's much easier to scrub through and find a good spot you like. I like this looking away, kind of in her own world here. Let's see what this movement's like. Cool. So I like it just before she moves her shoulders. There you go. So there you go. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with an alternate. And now let's go to the wides. Same exact process, but actually what I'm going to do is do the same thing so I can see how much of the frame I need. I will be adding digital zooms and stuff to this later, but for now, let's just get these right. So Command C to copy, Option Command V to paste, and you're just pasting the motion. Now everything should be nice and set up the same way. All right, so let's go through. So this one's nice and relaxed, just staring right down the lens. Nothing fancy. Which is really nice. You can't see any distractions back here. Some of the flowers falling is cool. It's a nice detail. Shouldn't seem to move or be distracted by it, which is really nice. All right, done. So I've added a movement here, which is cool. A little bit of camera shake. You can see we can get rid of that very easily. So let's see the whole thing. Start from here. Nice zoom in, really cool. I can really accentuate that zoom with my warp stabilizer and also doing a digital zoom, so we can make the zoom in much more intense. I'll actually show you that right now. So where does the zoom start? Right there. So what we're gonna do is add our keyframes here on position and scale, all the way into where it stops. You want it right at the end. And now this one, I'm gonna do the exact same thing, but I'm gonna go to 100, or just shy, 90. And zoom right to the face. Now you can see the digital zoom looks like this. Which is kind of cool. It's just slightly off. So you want it right when that first movement happens, which you can see is right there. So just move this back a little bit and now test it. Really cool. Or do we like... No, let's just leave that. Move on. 2. So I like when they're both just staring right down the lens. Love that. It's fantastic. Done. I'll mess with that one later. Oh, that's a cool move. Just kind of over here. That's great. Looking right at me. So that was a cool end spot. Let it keep running. Yeah, right to there, right before this lip movement. So this one I try to zoom. We're gonna do the same thing as we did in the previous clip. The second move for me is usually the best. So we'll start here. So nice. Right to the end, cool. I'm gonna leave that. We'll mess with that zoom in a little bit. Get a slow zoom with her. Just leave that one like that. Cool, those things dropping on her shoulders are really nice. Fortunately, the camera is shaky. I guess I didn't use a tripod for this one. We're gonna see what this warp stabilizer can do in the background. See if you can work magic. Just drag that right on there. It's going to work in the background while we do other stuff. This is cool, but it's an alternate to what we have on the 4x5. So I'm gonna make them all and then just work and look at them after. Super cool. can hold that all the way through. It's great. It's a great group shot. I like it from here. Just a living, breathing photograph. Which is super cool. And stop. So I'm going to stop this just before. And then also I noticed there's a little, if I zoom in all the way here to 400, I notice, let me flip the proxy on and off. I notice there's a little bit of netting here. So what I want to do is take this flower and move it here. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to duplicate this by holding Option. Select the top layer. I'm going to use this little masking tool and mask out this little flower. Cool. And now what I want to do is move this right over here. So it's not perfect yet. I also want to make it a little bit smaller. Let's go down here. Let's go to 30%. Whoops. 30%. And what I do is bring it in here like this. Might need to be a little bigger. Let's go 35. That's great. Alright, cool. So I'm going to select this mask one more time, and I'm just going to put this behind this flower petal. Like this. Oops, Apple Z. Sometimes these things can be finicky. And now we're going to go behind this flower. How's that look? Not bad. I'm going to drop the opacity all together by about 90%. I'm going to bring the highlights down a little bit just to make it look a little different. Make it a little bit more saturated. Bring the exposure down. I don't like that I made the opacity 0, so I'm going to make this a little darker so it sits behind. And then when I go to 100%, flower's just tucked right in there. You can see the before afters. Way different. And let me just go to fit. But even this looks great. Alright, and these are our clips. So now all we have to do is move into color correction. So let's do that. So I generally keep color correction pretty much the same. I'll hit it with contrast. I'll bring the desaturation down. I'll add just a little bit of cyan to get rid of the reds. I'll even bring down this curves layer and bring this up to give it a little bit more contrast. Then I'll come in. It takes the highlights, blows them out quite a bit, and then so I bring those back, and then also boost the shadows. You can see the differences. It's nice. I'm going to lift it actually in the lower mids just a little bit. And that's great. So now what I'm going to do is copy these, paste them all to these. Not motion, just Lumetri color. It looks great. Let's see how this one rolls a little more. I like it when it's more here before she does this blink and comes right back up. Cool. I can even do a small zoom here. This is why I like working with 4K footage on a smaller timeline, because it gives you the ability to just do these like really subtle moves that can make you look like a genius after the fact. Like you did this amazing camera move, but it's really just you messing around and with a digital zoom. Let's see how this looks. It's actually a little too tight for me. We tried it, didn't like it. So let's just keep it how it is. This one though. These orchids are crazy, so I'm actually gonna come in a little more. That looks, the framing here is really nice. The thing I don't really like is her shoulders, but let's see how it works itself out. See, she's nice and centered. She's a little bit off here now. You see the space here. Here is a little janky. Give her some more breathing room where those orchids are. Right now, I'm just going to make sure she stays centered because you see she drifts a little bit there but comes right back. So I'm just going to add a little bit of digital movement. So I'm add my keyframes here. She's starting to drift here. And then when she hits it, bring her right back to the center. Let it stay. She's already coming back a little bit. I'm just watching the nose to make sure that it stays centered and the spacing around her ears. This is cool. I don't mind these small movements like this, but even this could be over just a little. And then when she comes back, it's still just a little bit more. And there's just not enough headroom here, so I think with all of these, I want to lift it up a little bit. This is a bit of a dagger. I have to adjust all of these to what? Something like, let's make it nice and easy. 7-Eleven. So now I have to go to all of these and adjust it to 7-Eleven. I'm sure there's an easier way. If there is an easier way to do what I'm doing and you know how to do it, please leave a comment. I always love learning new things. But this is what I do for now. So now let's see how this looks. So I'm going to add ease into everything. Should really smooth everything out. Cool, it looks like the camera's attached to her head. This one's fucking perfect. Seeing all of the treatments all look great on this. You can see I can take this away. The difference just adds a little bit of a pop. I'm not trying to go too crazy. This one can be brightened for sure in the shadows. And maybe just a little bit in general. Bring the highlights and the whites down so they don't blow out. This one's pretty fantastic as it is. I'm gonna give it a little bit more zip by just darkening and brightening. You can take it a lot. Got a little overly saturated, so I'm gonna go back. I think this could handle the same move. So again, bring it down, bring it up. This actually went a little too far, so let's just back up a tiny bit. Great. Could use a little more saturation. And then this could use a nice boost in the shadows and overall. Wow, that looks great. So cool. So cool. Alright, so those are pretty much good. What I'm going to do is add grain to them now. It's just really a fancy word for noise. I'm going to go in here. I like to give it somewhere around 12, and I don't like color noise. Copy these. You're not copying Lumetri color, you're just doing noise. That's how you know it worked right. So I'm going to take this same thing. This is really cool. So I'm going to add a cool digital zoom to this. Somewhere around here, because it's not that long. That's nice. Really cool. You can do ease in, so it just starts nice. But that looks great. Oh, I'm not on the proxies, that's why it's playing choppy. Super cool. Couple things falling down, love it. What else we got? That's a very intense digital zoom, so as I'm coming back to it, I think I'm gonna just drop it a little bit. I like somewhere around 75. And this should be around here. I even really like these flowers, so maybe they should stay in. Let's do these as ease in as well, so it's not such a harsh start. See, that looks like an in-camera zoom now. Really cool. What happens if you take this, reverse it, and then butted it up against this? How does that look? It's pretty cool, especially if we just want to lengthen out the blinks look weird, you're right. But I'm just gonna leave this for now. And see if I like it after the fact. See, this will do really well with like a really slow zoom in. Or vice versa. So now just get these ladies centered. Let's see how that looks. I like smooth ease in. Makes everything nice and smooth. This is really cool. Just a nice slow zoom out. This is why I love working with 4K clips in 1080 timelines. Really nice. This one can kind of just stay the same. This one's a little dark. I'm gonna add the treatments to these. Actually, I'll add the noise last. Boop. So this, I'm gonna start from the beginning. That's really cool. I think the highlights could be brought back a little bit. And then overall lift. I think I can do that. And then that. And then just lift in the shadows. It's nice. This could be lifted as well. 0.5. Just duplicate it so it's good on the other side. Alright, the reverse shot, I mean. This looks amazing. So this is going to be difficult because they got two skin tones and I can't really isolate. But it looks like if I just bring back the highlights, I can afford to give it just a little bit more. Boost it. That looks beautiful. Super cool. This is way too hot, so I can afford to bring this right down and bring the highlights back and the whites. Not too much. So lose a little bit of saturation. That's really nice. Big difference. And this one can just be boosted all together, especially in the shadows. So it's gonna need a this is gonna need an iris pull digitally. This needs to be brought up. These whites are too much. Could probably afford to bring it down on the curve. Wow, makes everything so rich. The warp stabilizer gave it kind of like a weird, wacky effect too, which I'm into. It's really cool. Looks like a nice still camera movement. This is also great. I think the curves can be brought down. This can be brought up. The shadows can be brought up. See, I'm kind of doing the regular same moves for everything. Shows it's nice and consistent. These need to be brought down. Highlights. Overall. Be more saturated. I can probably bring the curves down a little bit. It's a little too inky. It's hard because they all have different skin tones, so it's hard to push everything too much. I mean, I could individually scope it out, but I'm more of someone who likes ease. I mean, this is pretty close. Love it. All right, so the two iris pulls, how do we do that? So it's right here. So this looks good. So we're gonna go over here and look at our basic correction and look at exposure. Hit this. Actually, we gotta see, yep. And then when it gets to here and it's fully zoomed out, that's where you wanna do the move, because after the move it stays pretty bright. So all you gotta do is come here, knock it down one, maybe make it 0, and you'll see that it's a much nicer move now. It's not blown out. Super simple. This is cool, but I just don't like where it is adjusted at the moment. Might go into 60 here. Bring it in like that, because that looks fantastic. And I like this small move. It's really nice. This is the same. This iris move I don't mind, and then this one is the same. So it starts out here. Where's that first move? We're actually gonna work our way backwards because I like how it's exposed here. Can actually come up a little bit. So work our way back. So here's where the zoom starts. Do the same thing, color correction. Go down to exposure. Hit a keyframe, and you get here to where it stops. Try to find that first bit of movement. That's where you knock it down. I usually do one arrow click down. It's too much. So let's do 0.2. And that's cool. No, and that's cool. So now let's see it. Beautiful. Cool. So now what we're gonna do is add our grain. Copy C, copy V. Forget this, add just the noise. And now we're gonna export. If you click, let's just take our first one. If you push X, it gets your in and out. Apple M. You can see that it's already got our width. I go to high bit rate because it's gonna be for web. I'm just gonna name them down. This is wide 1. Save, export. All right, I'm gonna export these and we can look at them when they are finished. See you soon. And then when you're done, you have an amazing, beautiful set of moving portraits, and they all look fantastic. And as you scrub through them, what I'm doing right now, because this is in the middle of a project, is I'm taking screenshots using Shift Command 4. You take screenshots like this of each and every one. Wow, this one looks great. And then when you have screenshots of all of them, all set up and all nice, then you can drop them into your layout. Like I said, I was doing a big post for my social media, and you can see here that I have this wild layout with all these different formats, and I just put a play button here for where the moving portraits will be dropped in. So everywhere you see this is actually one of our moving portraits, and they look amazing in this layout. Let's see, we'll go to another one. Here's our still images, moving portraits. I mean, this is just gonna look fantastic when they're all dropped in. And if you wanna know how I drop these in and make these moves, stay tuned for my next video, which will show you how to make an interactive social media post just like this. You see here that moving portraits can be used as standalones, or they can be used within a set of images and they fit in perfectly. The limits to the moving portraits really are non-existent. Once you learn the workflow of making these, then you can start doing moving portraits for social. You can make moving imagery for websites and advertisements. You can start doing short films. You can start shooting commercials. There's really no limit. And that's really how you make moving portraits. So if you guys have any questions or comments, be sure to leave them in the comment section. I always respond. If you like the video and want to see more, make sure you like and subscribe. And my name's Corey Vanderploot at Corey Photo on Twitter and Instagram. Happy shooting.